Hello, it's me, and continuing with viewer request week, month, however long it takes. I've had multiple requests for this super square one 3x3x2, or maybe it's just called a square one 3x3x2. But anyway, it's this guy over here. And now I've done 3x3x2 tutorials. I've done square ones, super square ones, square twos, all of that kind of stuff. But someone still wanted one of these, so I'm going to go through this in the spirit of doing requests. Well, the thing about this puzzle is this is pretty much a square one. When you think about it, it's actually the same puzzle as this guy. And to solve this, you have to know how to solve this. The reason why I say that is because you can see that the top and the bottom really are the same form as the top and the bottom here. So this moves over here, you can see it shape shifted. Same thing over here, shape shifts exactly the same way. Now, as to why you would call this different, notice that what you have over here is you've got this middle slice, these middle bars. These don't really contribute much to the scramble or to the solution. While I'm putting these as squares, these can kind of come into various and sundry forms. If I were to take this middle, squash it down, put it in the center, I have basically this puzzle. So instead of the middle being here, the middle is here, as opposed to up here. So this is really just a square one puzzle, but with the middle over here. So if you can remember that, if you can solve this, you can solve this too. Now, because this has a form of a 3x3x2, it would help to know how to solve this as well. Now, I'm going to pretend like you don't know how to do any of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the algorithms. But if you know a 3x3x2, then all you need is a couple of variations with this. So let me go through some ground rules with this. Now, I'll tell you that once you solve this, you can also solve the super square one version of it. And that's this guy over here. Now, I've had some requests to clarify some things with this puzzle. The problem with that is this one is so difficult to maneuver around, and I don't like bringing it out. So those that have questions with this, pay close attention to what I do here, because basically to solve this is just like solving two of these. You solve these two layers here just the way you would solve these two, and then these two, the top and bottom, just the way you'd solve these. It's actually no difference. The main difference is that once you solve the middle or get the middle in the cuboid shape, all you have to do when doing the top and bottom is just prime the middle like this, so that when you double turn like this, you can do whatever action you want here, but you will not change the shape, the square shape of these middle layers. So it's just that priming. Same thing if you wanted to solve these two first and do any action here, just make sure you're primed like this so that the top and bottom don't lose their square shape. Okay, with that said, we'll go ahead and pursue this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some of the algorithms that you're going to need to know. Some of them are going to be 3x3x2 algorithms that we're going to just apply to this puzzle. And the only 3x3x2 algorithm that you're going to need to know with this is going to be the corner swaps, a way to take this corner and actually swap these two together. So we're going to call this a corner swap. And actually what I should show first is if I want to take the top and the bottom and swap them, it's a very simple algorithm. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. It swapped these two. And just to demonstrate, if I wanted to do a corner swap like this and swap these two, then holding it to the right, I do 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, then turn the whole puzzle counterclockwise, then do 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and this moves back. So what you're going to find is that these two did swap. This is now here, and this is now here. These two swapped also because according to the law of the cubes, I can't just do an odd number swap, I had to swap these two as well. So that's how you do that. So remember that algorithm, 2RU, 2R, UI, 2R, puzzle turns 90 degrees, counterclockwise, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. Then you just get that back over here. Now, how do I apply that with this? Well, anytime I'm doing an algorithm, what you want to do is make sure you do what's called priming the puzzle. What I call priming the puzzle is turning this in such a way to where when I do a 2R, I don't get it shape shifted. So I did something like that with this square one. Now with this square one puzzle, I had this long end, this long one to the right, short one to the left. So this slit here was basically to the left. So when I would turn it, you can shapeshift like that. To prime it, it means I'm going to line up, do a 30-degree turn to where I line this just off center, 30 degrees off of this, so that when I do a 2R, you see that I still have it in the square form. Forget about the center, doesn't really matter. So when I say priming, if I say prime from the bottom, then it just means turning this to where the next slice is closest to the slice here, I prime it over here. If I say prime it from the top, same thing. I go to the next closest 30-degree slice and over here. The purpose of priming is to retain my square shape when I do a 2R move. Because if I apply those algorithms that I applied here, this doesn't shapeshift, this one does. I'm going to pattern this one based on the square too, which means this is over to the left, so I'm going to have this wheel turned to the left, because this way it more closely resembles what I was doing with the square one, where this is the axis upon which it turns, so like this. So if I say priming the bottom, you turn the bottom like so, so that it's 30 degrees turned so that it's lined up here, and that way when I do a 2R, it will, if I line it up, that's the problem with this puzzle, lining up is an issue, it will maintain its square form. That's priming the bottom. If I prime the top, then I have to turn it this way where it's closest and bazoom. So that's what I mean by priming. So when I want to apply a 3x3x2 algorithm, algorithms, to maintain the square shape, just remember you must prime it. So if I want to do the same thing and swap these two, it's really the same algorithm. All I got to do is prime it. So no new notations. I promise no new notations with this one. Not that confusing dashes and dots and Morse code type thing. And that's going to be 2R. Now the U is going to have to be exactly 90 degrees here. So 2R, U, 2R, UI, and 2R. So that caused a flipping of these two. Now notice it flipped these as well. So that did a clean flip here. 2R. Now again, doesn't matter in this puzzle what you prime. I just primed it from the bottom. You can prime it from the top too if you want. So that's an example of a corner switch. It's the same thing if I want to do a corner swap. Exactly the same thing. As long as I prime it, it'll act just like a 3x3x2. So if I hold it over here, I want to flip these two. So I'm just going to prime the bottom, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and that gets that back. So that's the algorithm that's used for this. Now I'm not going to go through a full solve of this, but those are the algorithms that you need to know, just the 3x3x2 version of the algorithms. Now I'm going to quickly go through the other algorithms that you're going to need to know this. One of which, now that we've got the corners, the other is how to flip these guys around. So one algorithm will, it's actually the simplest of them. What this is going to do is this is going to take these guys and flip these guys. So this is going to go here, this is going to go here, this is going to go here, and this is going to go here. So it flips these two and these two. And what you're going to do is you're going to prime the bottom like this, then go 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, and unprime the top. And what you did is you went ahead and you flipped those. So that's a clean swap. So again, prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top. Very simple algorithm. Now the next one, we're going to add a layer of complexity with this, because what this is going to do is this is going to swap these two and these two. And there's various reasons why you're going to do that, because eventually you're going to try to move everything up to the top. So to swap these two and these two, all you have to do is prime the bottom, then go 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, then it's 2U, 2R, unprime the top, then prime the bottom, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, 2U, 2R, unprime the top. So basically what that did is exactly that. It flip-flopped these two and flip-flopped these two. The final algorithm is something that flips that just actually permutes the top and the bottom. What this is going to do is it's going to flip-flop these two on the same level and flip-flop these two on the same level. And the way that's going to work is it's going to be patterned very much like the previous one. And that's going to be prime the bottom, 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom. So it starts the same as the last one, then prime the top, but this time instead of going 2U, you go 2R and just skip to the third one, DI, or rather D, and 2R, unprime the top, and then you finish up with the first algorithm, prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top. So as you can see, it flip-flopped these two, and these two flip-flopped. Now from time to time, you may find yourself in a situation where these top centerpieces are out of sync. Like this. Well, the way to get out of this is I'm going to do what I do in a cuboid, which is a adjacent middle swap. What you want to do, or actually opposite middle swap, turn it to where this orange is to the left and the color that you want on the bottom is to the right. Prime the top or the bottom, it really doesn't matter. Prime it and go 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, and you'll get it back. Okay? The only thing that's left is the parity algorithm, but we're not going to go through that until the end. Okay, so with that said, that's all you need to know, and pay close attention because I am not going to do this one again. You'll see why it's just a very difficult puzzle to move, and it just isn't very fun for me. Anyway, so as part of the scramble with this, we'll just kind of do random stuff here and try to get a good scramble going on, and I'll just make that happen. Abracadabra. Okay, that's pretty good. This first part, getting it back to the cube form, that's going to kind of be up to you. I'm not going to go through every possible configuration. I'm just going to sort of tell you my general guide. What you want to do is you want to start pairing up even number one of these as much as you can. And the reason that you want to do that, when you have odd number ones, it's hard to get a straight shot. Like if I put this over here, this can fit over here, but then I inevitably run into a problem like this, so it kind of binds things up. When you have an even number one, two of these are equivalent to one of these. So I generally can find ways around to make movements doing a 2R a little bit better. But what you want to do is you want to get as many even numbers as possible and load them all up together. So here's kind of a dilemma. I've got a string of 3, and I've got just 1, and I've got a string of 4. All right, string of 4, move this over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I've got these two here. So what can I make out of this? Well, one of the things that I can make out of this is I can make that fishtail, these two and this. Without really knowing exactly what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, I do know that I want to separate this out, because once I get a string all along here, this will complete that entire arc. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now if I can take this and put this next to these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we're almost there. So if you can get a configuration like this, where you can get a fishtail, and again, this is just a guide. Okay, so this can move here. This is going to do it for me, because watch what happens. I can move this, actually this has to make its way to here. See what happens if I move this like so. Okay. Now watch what happens when I do this. I'm going to move this down here. So these are all together. I've got a fishtail here, these two and this. And now I can coordinate it easily by moving this across like so. So I separate these out from this corner, and now these two can come where this is. Now again, if this seems obscure, sorry, you're just going to have to mess with it. And bang. This is what I want. All of these together and all of these over here in a star formation up here. What I'm going to do from here, once you have this, is split the fish down in the middle without destroying this horribly awkward puzzle. Now once you have this, split the fish right down the middle so that you're going to start making symmetric shapes. Turn, thank goodness it popped back into place. You're going to have this shape and this shape. Once you have that, line it up here. Another 2R so that you're doing face to face, 4 to 4. 2R, and you get what I call a butterfly formation. Here's a butterfly. With a butterfly, split one down the center of the body like this, then one down the long axis like this, and then do another 2R. You get this nice shield here, and now what you're going to do is you're going to put it together like so that you have the back to back, front to front. Do another 2R and you've got your square shape. So now we're going to apply everything that we learned with those algorithms. The first step when doing this is you want to put all of the same color up on the same side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find just kind of like a base side, say, I will say red. Okay, so here's red, blue, and yellow. What I want to do is I want to put the other red and yellow over here. I see that it's here, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to move on. How about the red and blue? Here's a red and blue and white. I want to put the other red and blue over here. That's not here. So let's line this up with the other red and green. I'm going to put that right next to it. So what I'm going to do is here's the red, green, and yellow. I'm going to find another red and green and move this down here. Now when I do the swap, this is going to be turned around, so these two greens are going to be in conjunction with each other. So basically hold it here. Once again, I'm facing this down and to the left. Prime the bottom, or you can prime the top, it doesn't matter. I'll just prime the bottom and go 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. And then unprime the bottom. You'll find that you have this in place. All right, so now that we have this here, these two here, what's going to go next is, well, this is the red one. This is going to have to be next to this guy here. So I'm going to move this here, and I'm just going to flip-flop this here. The reason why this is going to come down here is this red is going to flip over. That way this yellow is going to be in conjunction with this. So move it here, prime the bottom. Two R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, and prime it back. So you can see this is lined up here, this is lined up here, so all the reds are appropriately placed. Don't worry about these edges. Now I've got to just put the final red one in place, put it just above where it's supposed to be, and as you can see, this is green and white. This white will end up here, this blue will end up here to match this. So move it in where it's got to be, prime the bottom, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, unprime the bottom, and you can see this is all in. So all these corners are in. Again, I would have done it exactly the same way over here. If you're doing this step here with these, and you're just focusing on the middle here, all you had to do to not move these two here is just prime it like this. And then basically you're doing from top to bottom. In some ways it's easier because you don't have the top colors to deal with, but it's the same thing, so figure on that. So the next step is now we have to do these guys. They're all up in the same level, but they're not appropriately oriented. What you're going to do is find two corners that are in, which is here. Now you can actually even put that where it's supposed to be, which is here. And you're going to find that it is going to automatically line up with the right colors on the other side. When you see two corners that are in, put it to the left, and then we're going to do an adjacent corner swap, which will be good because this green and yellow will be over here to match this yellow here. And this will swap over here, so this white will be here. So hold it here, prime the bottom, and then we do the algorithm 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, go UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and lo and behold, you will have it. All of your corners will be in and done appropriately. Now let's say you're freaked out about this. Well, again, what you're going to want to do in order to get this back is put the color that's the correct one on the left side, and just do an opposite edge swap. It's what we would do if we were to swap these two, but because these edges don't behave like these edges, they behave like these. So prime the bottom and do 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, and no worries, you've got this back. So now it's a matter of getting these guys all up in the same level. So using the algorithms, let's just take a look at what we've got and take a look at what we can do. First off, you don't want a situation like this. When you see this, you want to go ahead and just start swapping these from down here. So what will happen is this will come here and this will come here, so this will be out. This will come here and this will come here. Ultimately, what you want is you want it to where both of these, top and bottom, will have the wrong color at right angles to each other. So I want reds like this and oranges like this, because if I do that, then the next move is going to be able to swap them back in. So if you see a situation like this, go ahead and do that algorithm, the first one that I'd shown you, to move this to here, this to here, this to here, and this to here. So prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top. And as promised, one is out and one is out. The next step is I want to do the other algorithm to get them at right angles. So just kind of think about what you need to do to make that happen, because you're not going to be able to get it in one fell swoop with this one. So if I hold this here to the right, and I keep this one here to the right, and I do that algorithm, these two will flip. So I'll have a red one here and a red one here, but these two will flip, which will be the same. So I'll do an equivalent flip with these two. So I'll have a red one here and a red one here. This orange one will come down here, so I'll have an orange one here and an orange one here. So I'll have two at right angles. So when you finally get just one, put one to the left, one to the right, the other one to the right, and then do that second algorithm, which is prime the bottom, 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, 2U, 2R, unprime the top, prime the bottom, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the bottom, and prime the top, 2R, 2U, 2R, unprime the top, and as promised, that's exactly what you'll get. Now once you get this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make it to where you'll be able to swap those out to the right side. So if I hold it like this, these two will swap, so I'll have one right angle like this, the other right angle like this, to the left and to the right. These two will swap, putting the orange here and the red here. These two will swap, putting the orange here and the red here. So same algorithm. Prime the bottom, 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, 2U, 2R, unprime the top, prime the bottom, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the bottom, and prime the top, 2R, 2U, 2R, unprime the top, and great success. Everything is moved on the correct side. Now all we have to do is flip-flop these guys around. Now we can see right now there's a little bit of a problem, because we know that what this algorithm is going to do, if I move this over here, it's going to swap these two, but it's also going to swap these two. If I had this out and this out, it would work, because I'd swap these two, which would swap these bottom ones. Then if these were out, I'd then orient that, swap them back, and these will swap back. So this is parity. So how do we get out of parity? Well, here is the steps that you do that, and it's kind of a long algorithm, so I'm going to have you use pictures to represent what's going on and not actually algorithms. So the first thing that you want to do is we have to get it out of the square form into the shape-shifted form, and then see about doing some fancy footwork to get it back. So here's what you want to do. With any, facing any direction, it really doesn't matter. We're going to go and do just a 2R, so you get this familiar shield pattern. Then you want to do a counterclockwise rotation for the top, and just set this on the side like this, and then set this on the other side like so. So it's set on the side, looking like this, and then do another 2R. You're going to get this familiar butterfly shape, top and bottom. What you're going to do is more counterclockwise. So everything is going to go counterclockwise. Do counterclockwise so that you're up to the first slice over here. And then this bottom one, you're also going to turn counterclockwise so it's facing like this. So you're going to have both butterflies kind of down and to the right. Then do another 2R. You've got this familiar thing here. You have 4 here and 4 here. Same thing on the other side. Do another counterclockwise rotation so that this is facing down here. And this is facing over here. So you're just kind of lining these guys up over here and go, and there it is over here. You're going to get a star here, and you're actually going to get a lemon over here, believe it or not. Once you get that, what you're going to do is you're now going to turn this star one click over here, so by one pedal. So we're just going to turn this like so. Having done that, this has now recalibrated the puzzle, and I'm going to get it back. So now do another 2R, puts this back over here, and you see these shields. What you're now going to do is you're now going to turn this up over here so that you're slicing down in the middle of these 4 corners. And then you're going to face this the same direction. So these 2 shields are facing the same way now. So you have this sort of symmetric feel. Do another 2R. You're going to get your butterflies back again. Do another counterclockwise rotation over here. And this is going to come around counterclockwise over here, slicing down. So we're actually just kind of getting it back. Do another 2R. You're going to get this familiar shield look again. Bring it up again to a counterclockwise so that you're facing down over here with the 2 large corners here, the 2 small corners up here, and then of course this turns across over here to match it on the top and the bottom, and then do another 2R, and you've got your square shape back again. Now once you do that, you want to do a couple simple moves to kind of get back what you did. You could at this point start all over again and just since the puzzle's recalibrated, or you can do a couple of moves to quickly try to get things back in. Now what you're going to see here is you can see that here's the orange one over here. This is orange and blue. And down here this is orange and blue. So what if I were just to turn this over to here so that this is going to coincide with this over here. So basically what I did is once you've got this in this position, go ahead and do just a quick prime down over here, D basically, and then move it like so. This is all in over here. So now what I want to do is I want to coordinate it to where the orange, this orange over here is going to coincide to this over here. So I'm just going to turn it like so that it slices across the orange. And then I'm going to turn this so that this is sliced across the orange as well. And then double turn. And what you're going to find is upon doing so, you got everything back. So everything is back on the same side. If that didn't make sense, rewind it and watch it slowly again. Again, it doesn't matter if you didn't do this. This is just how I've worked it out to where I've minimized the motion. But what we're going to find is now I've got these 2 that need to be swapped. But look at the bottom. I'm ripe with abilities to swap. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn it upside down just because I can keep track of these better. And I'm going to put this to the side. These 2 are going to continue to swap back and forth. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start swapping these sides. So let's swap this first because this white one will be here and this green will be over here. So to do that algorithm, as you recall, which will swap these 2 on the top and these 2 on the bottom, move it here, prime the bottom, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the top. That first one was a DI, by the way, sorry about that. Prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top. So this did get swapped back in, and I did put the white one over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it to where I'm going to keep this here so this bottom one will keep swiping back and forth. Now I want to position this to where whatever gets swapped will be right next to the white one. So if I say move this here, I don't want to do it like this because these two will swap and I'll end up with the yellow in and I'll have these two opposite that are in. You don't want that. It's just going to waste your time. So move this over here. This blue will end up here. So this and this will be next to each other. So we'll go ahead and do the algorithm again. So move this out, or prime the bottom, 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the top, prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top. All right, so as promised, we have these two next to each other. So now all I have to do is now I have to swap these two and these two. So you can see now we're coordinated. So we've taken out the parity with those. These two will swap, these two will swap. Prime the bottom, 2R, DI, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, D, 2R, unprime the top. One more to go, prime the bottom, 2R, unprime the bottom, prime the top, 2R, unprime the top, and it's done. You have solved your 3x3x2 square one puzzle, which was pretty much the same kind of thing as this one over here. You should be able to do this in exactly the same way. But once you're isolating these, remember, after you've finished this, if you did this first, keep it primed like this while you're priming this, while you're doing the specific moves on the top and the bottom over here. Hopefully that'll make that one make sense. There. Once you do that, notice you have your square shape on all sides, and then turn it back. So anyway, hopefully that'll answer some questions regarding the square one. We're going to be using this technique with other square one derivatives that are out there. It's the same algorithms. So I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.